Hello everyone, my name is Joe Garvey, Chairman of Richmond Rural Community Association. I would say welcome to what is our first community video. Now, unfortunately, due to the current restrictions in relation to COVID-19, it could well be some time before we can meet up again down in the community centre. So we thought it would help to maintain contact with you if we brought you this video, which we hope to make every other month, along with our fortnightly magazine. We also want to continue with some of our projects, albeit at a distance. These include our Arts and Older Peoples project, Promoting Good Relations, and our Heritage project. But the most important part of all is reaching out to you. We would like to encourage you to engage in the activities in this video. See some of the things we've been up to. Hopefully get involved in the making of the next video and coming forward with ideas. But the most important bit of all is to have some fun. Because life at the moment, with people being largely confined to the house, can be a bit frustrating and boring at times. So we thought maybe we would liven things up a bit. The video is also being delivered by way of DVD to older people in our community who we believe do not use the internet. Everybody seems to think we all are on social media now, but with our older generation, this isn't the case. On my right, you will see what is on the video, but now we're going on to hear a beautiful story and song. The story will be narrated by Martell McPartland, and the song will be sung by Claudia Clendinning. We hope you enjoy this video, and we look forward to making more. Thank you.
Hello everybody. I'm here today to tell you the story behind one of Scotland's favourite songs, Loch Lomond. At the time in Scottish history when Loch Lomond was a new song, the United Kingdom had already been formed. But the Highland Scots, they wanted a Scottish king and not an English king to rule. So led by the bonny Prince Charlie, they attempted unsuccessfully to depose Britain's King George II. On the April the 16th, 1746, an army of 7,000 Highlanders were defeated at the famous Battle of Culloden Moor. And it is this battle that is inspiration behind the song. After the battle was over, there were many Scottish soldiers imprisoned within England's Carlisle Castle. Loch Lomond tells the story of two Scottish soldiers who were so imprisoned. One of them was to be executed, and the other was to be set free. According to Celtic legend, if someone dies in a foreign land, his spirit will travel home by the low road, the route for the souls of the dead. In the song, the spirit of the dead soldier arrives home first, while the living soldier, who takes the high road, arrives afterwards. The song is from the point of view of the soldier who is to be executed. When he sings, "You'll take the high road and I'll take the low road," what he is really saying is that you will return alive and I will not. I will return in spirit. He remembers his happy past by yon bonny banks where me and my true love used to go, and sadly accepts his death. The broken heart will know no second spring again. The lyrics intertwine the sadness of the soldier's plight with the beautiful images of Loch Lomond's stunning natural beauty. Thank you.
By yon bonny banks and by yon bonny braes, where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond, there me and my true love spent many happy days on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. sunshine, the waters are sleeping, but the broken heart, it kens nae second spring, though they wave who may cease of their greeting. Oh, ye'll take the high road, and I'll take the low, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye. But me and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Oh, ye'll take the high road, and I'll take the low, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye. But me and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
We can all get involved in arts and crafts. In this video, we have Ciara Campbell making some models you can easily make at home using the simplest of materials. We also have Denise Phipps showing us how to start crocheting. We have diagrams and instructions of all the stitches and knots shown on the video. If you are interested in starting to crochet, we can supply these instructions and diagrams together with some woolen hooks to get you started. Please contact us or tell the person delivering the next magazine that you would like some of this material, and we will get some out to you.
Hello everybody, it's Ciara here. I hope you're all keeping well during this crazy lockdown period. I'm hopping on today to do a little demonstration to try and get you creative. You usually know me from working with clay. Obviously it's difficult to get the clay at the moment out to everybody. So we're going to do a salt dough demonstration today. Salt dough is brilliant because it's environmentally friendly. If it doesn't work out, you can chuck it into the compost bin or the brown bin if you have one. You can fire it in your own oven. It cooks in a couple of hours and it lasts forever. So I'm going to show you some little bits and pieces that I have done before to let you see what we can do. And then I'm going to do a little quick demonstration of how to make a little wreath with you. And then hopefully then over the next few weeks you can take a bit of time and you can make your own creations in the comfort of your own home. So to show you the sort of things that we can do with the salt dough, here's a few things that I've done before. So this little guy is a little happy flower faced piece that I can pop it into any plant pot. Right, just pop them onto a wee skewer. These are really good for your house plants at home, or you can put them outside in the garden if you have sealed them well with varnish. But they last forever, and they're kind of a nice little thing to brighten up your windowsill. They're also a good wee idea that you could post them out to friends and family as little gifts as well. Here's a couple of little fairy doors. So these are really popular at the moment with the kids. You can put them onto the skirting boards at home, in the bedrooms or around the house, or you could pop them out in the garden on the tree trunks to make it look like the fairies live inside the trees or in your house. These ones have been done just again with the salt dough. They've been fired in the oven or baked in the oven and then painted with a poster paint or an acrylic paint, which works quite well. If you're putting them outside, a good wood varnish or a yacht varnish will seal them and they'll last for a really long time. But if you don't seal them, if you were to put them into water, they would dissolve over time because they are just like a biscuit, a very, very hard biscuit. You can feel they are quite hard, quite long lasting, but they must be varnished in order to keep them for a long time. Here's a couple of little animals that I did. There's a little sheep and a little pig. You can see those. So they're a little bit taller than these pieces. So you can make all kinds of things. There's a little turtle with a little bit of a glitter glue in there just to give them a little bit of a shimmer. But these pieces are all done, as I say, really simply and popped in the oven and then hand painted. So the possibilities are endless for the types of things that you can do. But this is a little impression, a little handprint, or paw print should I say. You can do these with your pets, or you can do them with your grandchildren if you get a chance to see them when all of this madness is over. These are a nice little thing that that you can do as a keepsake. Unfortunately, I lost my puppy Pip. She passed away last week, so this was quite a nice thing. I'm glad that I did it now that I have this wee memory for her, but it's a nice wee thing to keep, and it'll last forever. Okay, so to start off with then, there are 3 ingredients that you need to make your salt dough. So you need flour, salt and water. So a plain flour is good. It doesn't matter what brand, as long as it's not self-raising. Just a plain flour, and a normal cooking salt. So there's a Tesco's cooking salt there. Cooking salt is better than using the likes of a sea salt or any of those kind of rock salts. The granules are far too big for it. You want that nice fine cooking salt so that it makes a really good dough. And then just normal tap water. So to make the dough, you need 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of salt, and 1/2 cup of water. And you mix those all together, and then you knead them into a nice firm dough. So this is one that I have just done just before the demo. So you can see it holds its shape really well, it doesn't flop too much. You couldn't make very tall things with it like you could with a normal clay, because it wouldn't hold its own weight, but it's good for making sort of flat relief or medium-sized things. It's quite good for making bowls as well. If you were to take a bowl and wrap it in tin foil, you could lay the clay or lay the dough over the top and bake it in the oven, and that would hold its shape, and then you could paint that up. So that's a nice idea too, if you fancied it. But for today's demo, I'm just going to do a simple wreath, a little wreath that you could decorate up. You could use the wreath for any time of year. I'm going to do a sort of a summery one today with some flowers and leaves, but you could easily do a Christmas wreath if you wanted to by adding holly leaves and berries. You could do an Easter wreath by putting little eggs and things in there. The possibilities are endless. But to start off with, we're going to break off a couple of pieces and we're going to roll a sausage. Okay, so I hope you can see this okay. So we're going to roll it out into a nice long sausage, and then I'm going to break it in half and I'm going to roll it even thinner again. So you want something that can be easily twisted together to make this wreath. Okay, so 1 and then 2. Try to keep them as even as you can, if you can manage it. Okay. So you should have 2 long sausages, whoopsie-daisy, like that. Now, when you're working with the salt dough, I would suggest that you use the baking paper. Baking paper will stop the clay or the dough from sticking to your baking tray whenever you bake it in the oven, but it's also good to put onto the table, so it stops the pieces from sticking to the table when you're working. Now it's practice what I preach. Do what I say, don't do what I do. So I have got a plasticky board here, but I use the board so that I can lift the pieces up and they don't roll, they stick a little bit so that I can lift them up so you can see them. If I was to put them on the paper, they'd be sliding all over the place. So you've got these 2 sausages, okay? You're going to nip them together at the ends and you're going to just twist them together. So for any of you keen bakers out there, this will be a breeze for you because you'll be used to working with dough. You'll probably have made bread and things before, and pastries. So it's the same kind of principle. So I'm just making sure that it's a nice tight twist. And then I'm going to bring it into a circle shape. And to join it at the end, okay, I'm going to take some water and I'm going to paint that on, and that water is just going to help it to join together. So I'm just going to give it a couple of extra twists at the end here and then overlap them and just sort of squish them together. It's going to be a wee bit more untidy at that end. Okay, you're going to see where the join is, but we're going to put our decorations over this area at the bottom, so you'll hide that join and it'll look a bit tidier whenever it's all finished. and then we can hang it from this end at the top, which is nice and tidy. So to decorate it, I'm going to show you how to make some simple flowers and leaves. Now if you're a baker, you'd be used to having at home lots of cookie cutters and things. You might even be lucky enough to have some little icing cutters, which are really good for this. So if you have cutters at home, use them. But I'm not using any cutters today because I wanted to show people who maybe didn't have those things at home how you could still make them without all of the fancy tools. So to make a leaf, just break off a little ball of clay like this. Just squish it between your fingers to flatten it, or flatten it in your hand like that. Okay, then just take your pinching fingers like this and just pinch it into like a leaf shape like that. So you've got this sort of pointy leaf, and you can play around with it a bit. You can shape it as best you can. You can make it any kind of leaf shape that you wanted to. You could make it a bit fancy. That's just a simple sort of a leaf shape. Now, if you have one, a pencil, sharpened pencil, or a skewer, or just a kitchen knife will work as well, just a butter knife even, and you can just press it into the middle to give the spine of the leaf, and you can just decorate the leaf like that, okay, to make those little spines of the leaf. And make yourself sort of 3, 4, 5, even 6 of those leaves, and you can make them different sizes as well. So again, rolling a little bobble, just flattening the bobble out, and then pulling it into a point at one end to make that sort of a leafy shape. And again, I'm just going to squish it down the middle to make the line, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little lines to make it kind of like, oops, can you see that? Like a little leaf, like that. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to quickly do a couple more. I'm going to do maybe 4 or 5. So squish it into a circle, squish the circle, make a point, and then decorate it with its veins. Or if you were really clever, you could use a leaf that you have in the garden, and you could press that leaf into the dough to make the impression. So, like, I have a bit of Castlewell Gold fir tree here, and I could just squish that in like that, and you can see, can you see that decoration there? Maybe not. But just a normal leaf would work well, you know, with the actual spines and things on it will work just as well. As far as I remember, hosta leaves were really good. They have a really strong, veiny texture. Where I used to work, we had them in the garden, and we would make them into like little bowls and sell them with the texture of the hosta on the bowl. But I don't have any hostas here. Okay. Now, okay, so I've got 5 little leaves there. So I'm just going to then wet my paintbrush, and I'm just going to wet the bottom end of my wreath, and I'm just going to gently set these leaves onto my wreath like that. Okay, so you can see how that's decorated up, and then we're going to add some flowers. So to make the flowers, again, you can make them as fancy or as simple as you like. So the simplest way of doing it is taking a ball of clay, a ball like this, and flattening it. Okay, so you've got like a little flattened pad like this, and then you can take your knife or your skewer, and you're just going to go round it like this and make little petal shapes like that. Okay. So your knife then will give you those little petals, okay? And then I'm going to wee bit of water on it, and I'm going to set it in on top of one of those leaves, and I'm going to take another little ball of clay, or dough should I say. I'm so used to working with clay, it's difficult to get the words right. And I'm going to pop that little bauble into the middle of that little flower, so the flower's now got a little centre. Okay, so that's the easiest way. If you wanted to, you could make a bigger flower and you could actually make the petals all individually. So you could make, say, 5 little balls of clay. I've got a very hot dog sitting on the sofa behind the camera, so I don't know if you can hear her panting away there. It's very, very hot today. So if you're wondering, it's not me making all those panting noises in the background. So little baubles like that. Again, the way you did with the leaves, I'm going to squish them and just do a little point. So I'm going to have 5 petals. There's also a chance that a husband or a father might appear at the window beside me while I'm doing this little video. The joys of real life. And this is the 3rd time I've tried to do this video, because every time I've done it before, either somebody has phoned me or somebody has interrupted me, where I've had to cancel the video. So 3rd time lucky, huh? Now, so I've made 5 of these little petals, and then I've made 1 round bauble that's going to go in the middle. So I'm going to arrange the little petals. I'm going to put the pointy ends out, so it's going to be a pointed flower. I'm going to put some water on the round piece, and then I'm going to set it over the top. Just make sure that your round piece is big enough that it joins all the petals together, otherwise all your petals will fall apart. So, okay, like that. Can you see that? So, and that just means that when you do them all individually like that, you can make the flower as big as you want. And again, I'm just going to put some water onto my wreath, and I'm going to pop that flower on. And it's just going to, it usually just molds itself to the shape of the wreath. Like that. And if you wanted to, you could do some little decorations on your leaf or on your flower once it's on. If you put the decoration on before you put it on, you have a risk of squishing it with your fingers. So I'm just doing some little lines down each petal. So I'm going to lift it up and show you in a wee second. Okay. And I'm also going to do some little dots in the centre of the flower as well. I'm going to hold this up so you can see. Okay, so we've got that nice big flower and then the little flower, and you can see where I've just drawn on each of the petals another little line in the middle of each one. Okay, just to give a little bit more detail. But as I say, if you were going to do this for an Easter decoration, perhaps, you know, you could just make a really easy egg. It doesn't get much easier than this. You just roll the egg shape. Now I'm noticing that my dough is drying out a little bit because it's sitting on the table. If you're taking your time working with your dough, it's a good idea to pop it in a piece of cling film or in a plastic bag as you're working. It stops it drying out if your house is particularly hot. It's also a good idea if you're going to keep it over a couple of days and use it, but don't use it over too long a period. Like, don't have it wrapped up for a week, because it sometimes would mold in the bag. But it is good to, if you're not just using it all in one go, you can use it the next day. And if it does dry out a little bit too much and it's getting a bit cracky, don't be afraid to pour a wee bit of water on it and then knead it again, and it'll break down and it'll get that good consistency again whenever you need it, whenever you're working with it. Okay, so you can just make these little egg shapes, and you could just pop little eggs in, like a little basket almost, if you were doing an Easter egg, Easter themed piece. Or if you were doing that Christmas one that I talked about, you could make little presents. Again, you could just make little squares, little parcels, like little presents. You could decorate them up. You can also add ribbons to this as well, or you could stick other little pieces on with a glue gun if you had it, just to decorate them up a little bit more. The possibilities are endless. You could add a little bit of glitter or a few diamantes if that's your thing as well. So when your little wreath is finished and you have as much decoration as you want, I'm going to keep that one quite simple just for time. Then you pop it in the oven, and you're going to fire your oven or cook them in your oven for about 2 to 2.5 hours at gas mark 1, or about 100 to 110, 120 degrees, nice and low. Bake it until it's nice and hard. The longer you bake it for and the harder it is, the longer that the piece will last. If there's more moisture in your piece, you'll find that it'll, over time it might mould. So the drier it is, the better. And then you can paint it up with poster paints, acrylic paints, whatever you've got at home. And then you can varnish it with your yacht varnish or your wood varnish, and it'll last forever like that. So I hope you have lots of fun doing that. They'll last forever, as I say. It would be really lovely to see the pieces that you've done, so don't be afraid to send me some pictures of what you create if you manage to get through it. You can find me on Facebook at Ciara Campbell Ceramics. It would be lovely to see what you get up to and to hear how you are getting on. But for now, that's a really simple little idea to get you creative. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Good luck. I hope you're all staying safe, and hopefully we'll see you in the future whenever everything calms down a little bit and it's safe to do so. You all take care. Bye.
I'm Denise, and I'm here today at the Richmond Community Centre to help you teach you a very basic class in crochet. So today we're going to, if you have a look at some of our squares that we've done, we've got, this is what's known as a granny square. So basically, when you go to the shop to purchase your yarn, there's 2 things that's quite important. Always keep your label. And when you look at your label in the shop, there are 2 things that you need to understand. When you turn it around, there's a little square patch that's on the label, and that label tells you what size crochet hook you will need to purchase to use this product to make your gift. So with the double knit and the cotton yarn that we're going to use, we need a 4mm crochet going to start with. So we have our hook, which is our 4mm, and we have our yarn. Take it and run the tail end over your finger 3 times. You have 3, it will go 3 times over your finger. Pick the middle section, pull it to the side, and then pull the middle section over the first one again, so you have a little hook like this. Put your hook on and pull the yarn down, and it makes what's known as a slip knot. So there's our slip knot. Pull it so that it's tight, but not too tight. You want it to be able to slide up and down on your hook. Okay. A lot of people tell you what way to hold the crochet needle and what way to hold the yarn. I think it's personal. Whatever way you think is comfortable for you, then basically you get a hold of your yarn and your hook. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start at the very basic, and we're going to do a chain stitch. So the chain stitch is going to be the basis of our fabric. So in one hand, what I tend to do is mind the little tail end out the way, or you can always start with it. I wrap the yarn over my finger. It goes over the hook. If you can grab the bottom just to hold your hook a little bit, your tail end a little bit, you have your 2 pieces of yarn on the hook. Bend the hook down and pull it through the loop. And that is your first chain. So we count those as number 1. Again, you wrap the hook over, keep the tension tight. You can hold it so that keep your finger and thumb on the tail end. So hold it down. Pull yarn over needle, pull through, and that's number 2. So we're going to make the dishcloth, you need 32 chains. Just for the sample today, I'll do 12. I'll do a chain of 12. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So we have a chain of 12 on our stitch. So you will do to 32. Or, to be honest with you, you can chain it the width or the length that you would like your dishcloth to be. Okay, as you can see, we're working right to left. So that's a look of the stitches. That's how it should be looking. And we see the last remaining bits of our chain that we need to crochet into. So again, yarn over hook into the chain, into our chain, yarn over, pull it through, so you have now 3 stitches on the hook, yarn over again, pull through 2 stitches, leaving 2 on the hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, leaves you a stitch on your hook. Again, yarn over, into the chain stitch, yarn over, pull it through, so you have 3, yarn over through the first 2 stitches, yarn over through the second 2, and that's your treble stitch. So we'll do that until the end. So yarn over into the hook, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, so we have 3, yarn over, hook down, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2, and that's your stitch. We're nearly at the end now. So yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, again, yarn over, so it's the basic of your stitch. If you keep your yarn over into your chain stitch, yarn over, pull it through, so we have 3 stitches on, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, that's your stitch. So that's us. I think we'll count. We'll do a count and see if we have enough. So at the very beginning you have like a chain 2 space, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So we had 12 stitches on our chain stitch, and now we have a row of 12 trebles. Before you turn, okay, so just to sew in our end, you take your big darning hook, put on the side, pull it through, thread your hook, and literally draw, tack back a few stitches into your crochet, and as they say, just to go along the top, you can just slide it through a few stitches. I like to go through around there, take it, get your scissors and cut, and that's your end. The same with your tail. You can thread your tail end. Okay, again, just a couple of stitches into your cloth, and it helps to tie it off. Little knot, pull it through and cut. There's your sample. That's it.
The coronavirus does not discriminate in our community. We are seeing people coming together, regardless of religion, background or culture, to work together for the good of all in the community. But we need to keep this harmony in place and be mindful of our tragic past. We need to work at keeping peace. This song, called There Were Roses, was written about two friends who were the victims of tit-for-tat killings by loyalist and Republican paramilitaries. It illustrates the futility of these killings when the people involved were great friends, regardless of their religion or political belief. This song by Tommy Sands illustrates how important messages can be conveyed through song and poetry. We are very grateful to Tommy for letting us use the words of his song in this video. The words will be narrated by Martell McPartland.
So my song for you this evening is not to make you sad, not for adding to the sorrows of this troubled northern land. But lately I've been thinking, and it just won't leave my mind, to tell you of two friends one time. They were both good friends of mine. Alan Bell from Bana, he lived just across the fields, a great man for the music, the dancing and the reels. O'Malley came from South Armagh to court young Alice Fair, and we often met on the Ryan Road, and laughter filled the air.
There were roses, roses, there were roses.
Though Alan he was Protestant and Sean was Catholic born, it never made a difference, for the friendship it was strong. And sometimes in the evening, when we heard the sound of drums, we said it won't divide us, we will always be the one. For the ground our fathers ploughed in, the soil it is the same, and the place where we say our prayers have just got different names. We talked about the friends who died, and we hoped there'd be no more. It's little then we realised the tragedy in store. It was on a Sunday morning when the awful news came round. Another killing has been done just outside Newry town. We knew that Alan danced up there. We knew he liked the band. But when we heard that he was dead, we just could not understand. We gathered at the graveside on that cold and rainy day, and the minister, he closed his eyes and he prayed for no revenge. And all the ones who knew him from along the Ryan Road, they bowed their heads and said a prayer for the resting of his soul. Well, fear filled the countryside. There was fear in every home when the car of death came prowling around the lonely Ryan Road. A Catholic would be killed tonight to even up the score. Oh Christ, this young O'Malley that they've taken from the door. Alan was my friend, he cried. He begged them with his fear. But centuries of hatred have ears that cannot hear. An eye for an eye was all that filled their minds, and another eye for another eye, till everyone is blind. I don't know where the moral is, or where the song should end, but I wonder just how many wars are fought between good friends, and those who give the orders are not the ones to die. It's Bell and O'Malley, and the likes of you and I.
That part of the video was probably a little bit sad, but we all have hope that the future will be brighter and that those days are in the past. But now we'll come on to a section where we liven up. They say singing's good for you. It says you should sing about 10 minutes a day. It reduces stress, clears the sinuses, improves posture, and can even help you live longer. Now, the next set of songs are brought to you by Colin Harney, who is well known down in the Richmond Centre. Now, what we'd like you to do is sing along. Don't worry, there'll be nobody listening. So sing your hearts out. It'll do you the world of good.
I'd like to thank Joe for asking me to partake in this news sheet for you. So I'm going to do a few wee songs for you during the day, and hopefully it'll not be too long till I see us back live again down in the centre. Thank you very much and enjoy the show. The lights of London are far behind. The thoughts of homeland are crowding my mind. Familiar places come into view. Well, I see my home now. Well, soon I'll see you. We'll talk to the old folk, are they're getting on, and treat them to late night, and sing the old song. We'll talk of the neighbors and life in the town. There's so much to tell them. Days fly found. Oh, that's your sing. This is my homeland, the place I was born in. No matter where I go, it's in my soul. My faith may wander a thousand places, but my heart will lead me back home, my Donegal. And then tomorrow we'll take a walk down to St. Mary, your sheltered spot. We'll kneel and pray there for the ones that are gone, and hope that they're proud of their wandering son. Oh, let's hear singing. This is my homeland, the place I was born in. No matter where I go, it's in my soul. My faith may wander a thousand places, but my heart will lead me back home, my Donegal. Yes, my heart will lead me back home, my Donegal. Okay, we're going to take you back in time. This is a wee one that you'll all know by a young lady called Patsy Cline, who's no longer with us, and it's one called The Tennessee Waltz. I was waltzing, my darling, to the Tennessee Waltz, when an old friend I happened to see. I introduced her to my loved one while they were dancing. My friend stole my sweetheart from me. Oh, that's the old singing. I remember the night and the Tennessee Waltz. Only you know how much I have lost. Yes, I lost my little darling the night they were playing that beautiful Tennessee waltz. Tennessee waltz. Only you know how much I have lost. Yes, I lost my little darling the night they were playing that beautiful Tennessee waltz. That beautiful Tennessee waltz. There we are, the beautiful Tennessee waltz. With one called the Galway Girl. I took a stroll down the old long walk with A-I-A-I-A. I met a little girl and we stopped to talk when the fight up the I-A. And I asked you, friend, tell me what would you do? But if her hair was black and her eyes were blue. So I took her hand and I gave it a twirl. Then I lost my heart to a Galway girl. You! We were halfway there when the rain came down on the day I-A-I-A. She asked me up to her flat downtown on the find something I-A. And I asked you, friend, tell me what would you do? What if her hair was black and her eyes were blue? So I took her hand and I gave it a twirl. Then I lost my heart to a Galway girl. You! Oh, when I woke up, I was all alone up the A-I-A-I-A with a broken heart and a ticket home. And I asked you now, tell me what would you do? Well, if her hair was black and her eyes were blue. 'Cause I traveled around and all over this world. Boys, I ain't never seen nothing like a Galway girl. Yoo! Men's. Downtown tonight, saw an old friend, someone new. I used to take comfort from long before I met you. I caught a are gone, like stars in the night, lost in the sweet light of dawn. Oh, that's you singing. Old flames, they can't hold the candle to you, and no one can light up the night like you do. Flickering embers of love, I've known one or two, but old flames, they can't hold the candle to you. Old flames, they can't hold the candle to you. There we are, old flames.
Now, folks, we're going to really liven things up a bit. Jiving was very popular in the 50s and I think early 60s. Many of you will remember it, and many of you are experts in it. And a lot of you must remember it from your younger days. So we are going to bring you some jiving now. And our thanks to Annette and Colin, who have a dance studio in County Leitrim. And they're letting us use 2 of their dance routines. And we could ask them to make some more for us if you like it, and get you all jiving at home in preparation for coming back to the community centre, and maybe we could have them down here to illustrate or to remind you how it's done. So, have fun. As you can see, you can jive anywhere. All you need is some music and a partner. And by the way, the cattle markets are open at the minute.
He's gone looking for a partner, cross the highways in his tractor, taking note of any beauty queen he meets along the way. He's headed for the city where he hears the girls are pretty. Get your lip gloss on the ready, cause the farmer wants a wife. You'll get all the fancy glad rags if you give him the green light. The man's a nature lover and he'll always treat you right. So if you're looking for a partner and you like a bit of banter, keep an eye out for his tractor, cause the farmer wants a wife. Brought up in the country, all his pickup lines are rusty. Early nights and early mornings, milking cows and plowing fields. He needs a strong-headed woman, likes affection and hard work, and get your wellies on the ready, cause the farmer wants a wife. If you need a guy that listens, he's got acres of time. If you wanna start a family, the man is in his prime. So if you're looking for a partner and you like a bit of banter, keep an eye out for his tractor, cause the farmer wants a wife. Up and down the borders, towns and cities, every corner. If you're stuck behind his tractor, he'll be going all the way. He might not be that hunky, but he sure as hell is chunky. He's the lover for agricultural, the farmer wants a wife. So don't miss this opportunity, it hardly comes around. Cause once you've tried organic, you'll not leave his breeding ground. So if you're looking for a partner and you like a bit of banter, keep an eye out for his tractor, 'cause the farmer wants a wife. So if you're looking for a partner, they all say he's quite the charmer. So get down up in your armour, 'cause the farmer wants a wife.
The road before me, a red-haired girl I chanced to spy. I went up to her, says I, young lady, a donkey he will carry too. Well, seeing as how you have a donkey, to dingle fair, I'll ride with you. Now when we reached the town of Dingle, I took her hand to say goodbye. When I think a man stood up beside me, I belted me in my left eye. Keep your hands up, red-haired Mary, her and I will soon be wed. We'll see the priest this very morning, tonight we'll lie in a married bed. Now I was feeling kind of peevish, my poor eye was sad and sore. So I tapped him gently with me hobnail, and he fell back through Murphy's door. A policeman came around the corner and told me I had broke the law. And then the donkey kicked him in the kneecap, and he fell down and broke his jaw. Then he went off to find his brother, the biggest man you ever did meet. And he gently tapped me with his knuckles, and I was minus 2 front teeth. Keep your hands up, red-haired Mary, her and I will soon be wed. We'll see the priest this very morning, tonight we'll lie in a married bed. The red-haired girl, she kept on smiling. I go with you, young man, she said. We'll forget the priest this very morning, tonight we'll lie in Murphy's shed. Now through the town we rode together, my black guy and her red hair, smiling gaily at the tinkers, and the God were a handsome pair. Oh, take your hands up, red-haired Mary, her and I will soon be wed. We'll forget the priest this very morning, tonight we'll lie in Murphy's shed. Take your hands up, red-haired Mary, her and I will soon be wed. We'll forget the priest this very morning, tonight we'll lie in Murphy's shed.
We need to make an effort to preserve our heritage. It is a vital link to our cultural legacy. Our history and link to the past are as important as the air we breathe. And it is said that without history, we are like trees without roots. In this area, heritage is all around us. In the Ballintaggart project, which Martell will be coming to, it dates back to perhaps well over 5,000 years ago. There are other heritage aspects of this area which will take us almost up to the present day. In these videos and in our magazine, we hope to examine that heritage, make you aware of it, and hopefully get you involved.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about our community heritage project that involves the townland of Ballintaggart. From the cradle of civilization in Ireland to the modern day, Ballintaggart, County Armagh, tells a story of an interesting heritage. This started well over 5,000 years ago, as indicated by the giants' graves, court tombs, from the significant Neolithic presence on the site, and these court tombs predates the pyramids of Egypt. This is a very important archaeological location, and it may well have links to other Neolithic sites. In Ballintaggart, which means townland of the priest, in rural County Armagh, there were two megalithic court tombs, and these were known locally as the giants' graves, and they date back to Neolithic times. Now, although we cannot be entirely sure what the purpose of these court tombs were, we can speculate that there was a ceremonial and ritualistic component to them. The courts were designed to hold large numbers of people, and people would have gathered there on days of great importance. Outside of that, they would have marked important events such as initiations, weddings or meetings, a bit like our town halls today. There are just over 400 court tombs in Ireland, and almost all of them can be found north of the line between Galway Bay and Dublin. To our ancestors, these tombs were structures of great importance and a means of connecting with the gods or spirits, and were often used as temples. The Neolithic people were very aware of the energies that surrounded them, and in order to make sense of these energies, they created gods and goddesses to explain them. The land was very sacred to our ancestors, as it depended on the land providing for them. And if the land failed to provide, hunger, illness and death would follow. Our ancestors lived in great fear of crops failing, and they held festivals to appease and honour the gods at certain times of the year. It was the late T.G.F. Patterson, who was the first curator of Armagh Museum, that wrote of the graves in Ballintaggart. Covering stones are said to have been removed from it for building purposes by the Shrevels and Balkans, with dire results to the families concerned, both of whom suffered from ill luck attributed to interference with such structures. The local people have long believed that the stones in Ballintaggart were cursed, and they wouldn't interfere with them in case ill luck followed. In Dewey Court Tomb in County Antrim, which is similar to the court tomb at Ballintaggart, two polished stone axes were unearthed between the portal stones in 1935 and became known as the magic guardians of the passage. The spirits associated with these sites still prevails. When a local excavation was carried out on the Ballintaggart court tomb in the 1920s by locals, they found a large number of white stones. The white stones are also known as the shining stones, were illuminated by the moon and sun, and this brought an otherworldly feeling to the court tombs. The light from these tombs would have been an original beacon of light in an otherwise sombre landscape, and it's easy to see how magic tales would have gathered around these sacred spaces. Over the years, the tombs fell into disrepair, and the white stones that once reflected the light were lost due to erosion. But even without the shining stones, these sites still retain an air of mystery and magic.
I would ask you to think of all our volunteers that work with the Community Association. They are not paid. They give many hours, and in fact days, to help people in the community. Now, despite COVID-19, our volunteers have been working away. We have so many volunteers, it would be impossible to mention them all here. In normal times, we would have our own committee members, all the people who help out with the garden, painting fences, and so on. But in these times, we have been pleased to have so many more volunteers coming forward. Whether this was for making scrubs and PPE for the health and care staff, it could have been sewing, collecting, delivering, organising. And now we have people delivering magazines and these DVDs to people in the community. They've also been involved in shifting a lot of heavy food boxes which came from the Department of Communities to those people who were seen to be in need. I think we need to recognise the work of all the volunteers. They deserve thanks. You are always welcome to join us and become part of the winning team. In the next part of the video, we'll be showing some examples of our volunteers in action. However, in relation to the production of scrubs and PPE for medical care staff, we must thank all those organisations, business and individuals who are so generous in helping us, not just with volunteering, but with financial help. Our thanks goes out to you.
Richmount Rural Community Association was born out of the need for activities and incentives to combat social isolation for older members of our rural community. For many years, we have had weekly lunches, outings, workshops and events to unite our local residents and strengthen the community as a whole. In recent weeks, we have all found ourselves in a position of lockdown and enforced isolation. It's frightening, it can be very lonely, and the future is unknown. It's now our turn to come together in a different way than normal, to do our bit and to help the most vulnerable. Our team of over 20 volunteers have been cutting, sewing and distributing face masks, scrubs, bags and disposable aprons for local care homes. A frightening number of COVID-19 cases are spreading rapidly across these care home facilities, and by wearing scrubs, staff are helping reduce the potential spread to both staff and residents. Scrubs are not something that the staff normally have access to, and with the current pandemic, these are virtually unobtainable. We've already raised over £5,000 worth of suitable fabric for over 170 pairs of scrubs, and we will continue to purchase and manufacture these essential items for as long as there is a demand for them.
It is a wonderful opportunity to help out nursing homes by making protective wear for them in the terms of scrubs and laundry bags, etc. But it's absolutely wonderful to see the community coming together. All the various volunteers of all ages, all creeds, all races coming together for a common good. And we hope in some small way that we can contribute to helping out in this crisis.
It's been great here to come to Richmount today and see what the association are doing. I want to commend Joe Garvey and his team of workers. They have done a tremendous amount of work making scrubs for the local community, for nursing homes, for the NHS, and I think it just says so much about this group that they're willing to step up to the challenge and to help out in a time of need.
A massive thank you to all who have generously donated of their time and contributed financially towards the cost of materials. Stay safe.
As an independent pharmacy, we are delighted to have the support of volunteers to help us deliver medicines to our patients, many of whom are elderly and at risk of COVID-19. We already had an established relationship with Joe Garvey at Richmount Rural Community Association through our work with the BCPP programme. Joe had registered with the CDHN and ensured that all the volunteers were fully vetted and all the checks in place. We really appreciate the help all the volunteers have given us, and I just want to say a big thank you to them all.
We're really pleased to be involved with this scheme, giving support to community pharmacists. It's also good that we have properly vetted volunteers who will make timely deliveries and maintain confidentiality. But perhaps the most important person of all to consider in this is the person who is actually due to get the prescription. By way of example, we had one elderly lady who became quite distressed she wouldn't be able to get a prescription. Normally her elderly friend would have collected it for her, but they were shielding. This lady was totally confined to the house and on oxygen, and we were only too pleased to be able to help out under the scheme.